Well, good morning, anybody who might be listening. I've got my pinhole glasses on once again. They're curious things, completely idiotic, I understand that. But I just have them, and I sometimes put them on and I look at the world through a kind of a mesh. And in a way, you could say that we all look at the world through a mesh until we are able to jettison the conceit of the personality, until we're able to disentangle ourselves from this kind of cage in some respects. And also our opinions, they're not so important. And then I suppose we still look at the world through a kind of a mesh, through a layer, through a veil of deception, but we can choose it more carefully, and we become aware of it when it intercedes, and aware of it when it departs, also because then the world becomes really alive. It's almost as though one had taken a psychedelic of some description, and we start to see more keenly, I would think. And for some reason, I was thinking about that old song from Mary Poppins, a spoonful of sugar, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down in the most delightful way. And I was thinking, well, how wicked is that really? And what is being said? And what is the medicine that is to go down? And I don't know exactly. I mean, the literal meaning of the song, of course, is any difficult task will be helped along by taking sugar, actually, by eating sugar. And it became a common thing in my day that if you had to take some medicine or if you had to have an injection, there would be sweets afterwards. That was the promise. Apparently, those of my generation were so stupid and so addicted to sugar that they were convinced of that. Or perhaps they were never really convinced of it, but they were made to see the world in that way. And of course, there was this was back in I suppose, the 1960s. There was a real push, wasn't there, to promote the use of medicine and to promote the consumption of sugar. And sugar was put into all foods with the disastrous effects that we see around us. And our failing and declining health, and the medicines contributed, and the healthcare industry became the biggest global industry. I don't know whether it's global, but I know that in England, the National Health Service is absolutely colossal in terms of a business institution, completely unsustainable as far as I understand it. And today we are meant to be all about sustainability. I suppose that's why they're dismantling it little by little. But we need to understand the deeper meaning of that, the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. Because this would have been on the heels of, the end of World War II. And, life was beginning to, there was a bit more money in the system. And to some extent, perhaps the medicine was the narrative that was being promoted through the media, through films especially, and through music. The big space narrative was very strong, in those years, because it had to be reinforced after the the moon landings or whatever they may have been. And then, also the social narrative, because there was a push to change the way that society was organized, and changing the nature of relations between men and women was part of that. Gradually elevating women, herding all young people into their programming plants or universities, however you should call them, and spreading, the idea of sexual freedom through, again, contraceptives widely available for women in particular, pushing more and more for freely available abortion. Maybe all that stuff was the medicine, and all we have to do is to have some nice chocolate cake and a few chocolate biscuits, and everything will be fine. It's quite eerie, really, isn't it? It's like the eeriness of the ice cream van going round the neighbourhood with its gay tune, calling little children to eat poison at its windows. I'm not criticising the man who runs it, he doesn't know. They're very nice, those ice creams. But it's like the Pied Piper of Hamelin, isn't it, really? The children following after and becoming ill, and then we find, illness and poor health just throughout the community, and greater reliance upon the health services. It's quite cruel, is it not? The way that we are herded around like cattle, and our money is taken from us through the theft of inflation, and we are treated as so many fools. Things were going to change, though, aren't they? There's a change afoot, I believe, and I'm very hopeful that the sun will shine once again, and the Lord will be returned into the heart of the community and onto our lips, in our hearts, and we will kneel once more in praise. I mean, today you can hardly take a Bible into a church. It's the last thing they want to hear. Or they certainly don't want to hear it the way that I would explain it to them, or the way that I might present it. This idea of freedom that I think is so essential and has been so maligned. God bless this morning. Have a beautiful day.